I'm continuing the conversation of the 4 archetypes of survival, and my favorite, absolutely hands down, is the child. So we all have an inner child, and this inner child can show up as that fun-loving, light-hearted source of energy. It can also show up as like deeply wounded, feeling a sense of not belonging, and the child has several ways of expressing itself, right? So when we nurture our inner child, we can show up as lighthearted, and we can show up as just loving and accepting, and always seeing people in their highest light. You know how children just kind of look at people and see the best parts of people. Inherently, children do that. And it's always nice to be around people who have that lightness and that sweetness of a child. So the child can also show up as wounded, and it can show up as feeling like they don't belong. There's nowhere in the world that they belong, or no group of people that they belong to. Sometimes, we as adults walk around with our wounds from our childhood. So maybe if we have a parent, or if there was if we come from a family where we feel unattached to, we feel like we really broke the mold. And I know a lot of people like that, who come from a certain family, who have a certain philosophical outlook, and they started having new thoughts, and they had to separate themselves from their family. And then ultimately their family kind of emotionally abandoned them. There was a disconnection. So a lot of people that I know have this sweet orphan child syndrome. And when we start having these conversations, we can, make light of them. But it's really important to recognize this and deal with it head on. It's really important to feel like you belong everywhere you go. And nurturing your inner child and enjoying the wonder of life is extremely beneficial for our mental health and our relationships. So I love the child archetype. It really teaches us about connection and our internal relationship with ourselves. And it can teach us about forgiveness, and it can teach us about letting things go and just authentically being in the moment and not repeating patterns, just really being in the moment, being present with certain people, and not trying to read their mind or finish their sentences. So how are you with your inner child? How does this show up? How do you struggle with it? Or what kind of relationships do you feel like you personally struggle with when someone else's child is unbalanced? And I'd love to hear your thoughts. So thanks.